All right, let's dive into a debate that's been causing quite a stir online, about modern relationships. Specifically, what these two influencers, Y and Anton, have to say about men and women and their roles. It's fascinating, really. They have such different perspectives, it's almost like you're getting two TED Talks for the price of one. Plus, we get all the spice of the live audience reactions.
Yeah, and you know what's really interesting? This isn't just some theoretical discussion. It gets really personal, really emotional, and I think that's what makes it so captivating.
hmm
We're witnessing a clash between traditional values and modern dating
For
realities.
sure. And I think no matter where you stand on these issues, whether you're single, married, or, it's complicated, this deep dive will make you think about those assumptions we all carry about relationships, about finances, about what it even means to be a man in today's world.
Right, and that actually brings up a really important question, doesn't it? Like, are these shifting, evolving gender roles ultimately helpful or harmful to relationships?
Yeah.
Because that's at the heart of this debate.
Okay, so to kick things off, the first round of this verbal sparring match jumps right into a hot button issue. Should men cover 100% of the bills in a relationship? Y argues passionately for a resounding yes.
And his reasoning is fascinating. He bases it on his own life, and emphasizes that a man's role goes beyond just financial support. He's talking emotional and spiritual leadership, this whole concept of being a provider on multiple levels. He even uses his 5-year-old son testing at a fourth grade level as an example of his successful provision.
Whoa, that's a bold claim. But then Anton steps in and, well, offers a different perspective, right?
Exactly. Anton disagrees with this blanket rule idea, saying that financial dynamics should be more nuanced and collaborative. He's all about partnership, where both people contribute and learn together, especially in their 20s, which he sees as a crucial time for personal and financial growth.
So we've got Y advocating for those traditional provider roles and Anton pushing for more of a team approach. And it sounds like this difference of opinion really sets the stage for the rest of the debate.
Oh, absolutely. They both keep circling back to this idea of manhood and a man's responsibility, hinting at these deeper philosophical themes that are going to unfold.
And speaking of opinions, we can't forget the live audience. They actually got to vote on this very question.
They did, and the results were pretty interesting. 53% agreed with Y, that men should handle 100% of the bills. It kind of tells us that traditional views are still very much alive, even within this online community.
It definitely makes you wonder if those views are maybe more widespread than we realize. Now, get ready, because in round two, things get even more, I don't know, heated as they tackle another controversial question. Are women less submissive today? Anton starts by acknowledging the big societal shifts of the past, like 50, 60 years.
He brings up historical milestones like women gaining the right to vote and entering the workforce, which obviously, led to greater freedom and autonomy. But he also kind of suggests that sometimes with this newfound freedom, people, including women, make choices that maybe aren't the best. He even brings up the historical practice of fathers giving their daughters away as virgins, implying maybe a sense of lost innocence or, a decline in traditional values.
It's a very provocative point, and Y surprisingly agrees with Anton that women are, in fact, less submissive these days. But instead of, blaming women, he places the responsibility directly on men.
His argument is that men have basically forgotten how to properly lead. He believes that a strong, godly man should naturally inspire submission in a woman, not demand it or force it. So for why, the issue isn't with women, it's with men not stepping up and fulfilling their leadership roles.
So even though they agree on the observation that women are less submissive, they have completely different explanations for why. And I think it kind of speaks to a deeper question that's been simmering throughout this debate. What does true leadership look like in a modern relationship?
Exactly. And it's not just about, who's in charge. It's about how we actually define those roles and responsibilities in a way that feels healthy and empowering for both men and women.
And again, can't forget about the audience. This time, they got to weigh in on whether they agree that women are less submissive today.
And the results were even more striking than that first poll. A whopping 72% of the audience agreed. So it seems like, everyone's kind of noticing a shift in the dynamic between men and women, but there's still that debate about whether that shift is a good thing or a bad thing.
All right, so we've got Y advocating for a more traditional leadership role for men, and Anton pushing for a more collaborative approach. And based on that last poll, it sounds like a lot of people are resonating with Anton's more, modern viewpoint. But hold on tight, because in round three, things get really personal.
Oh yeah, this is where the debate takes a turn. Get ready to hear their opinions on dating expectations. Let me tell you. things get spicy. We left off with things getting personal and, well, they deliver. Round 3 dives right into whether women have unrealistic dating expectations. Wyatt drops this bomb that he believes dating is actually, like, unnecessary. Says he knew his wife from, early on.
Yeah, like a soulmate situation. Just wait and you'll find them. I wonder how many of our listeners are nodding along with that one.
It's an interesting perspective for sure. And it sets up this clash with Anton, who clarifies his stance on equality, stressing this idea of being equally yoked, which to him means having, compatible values and goals.
Sounds pretty harmless, right? But this
Yeah.
is where the gloves come off, I swear.
Oh, totally. This seemingly simple definition sparks a whole heated exchange. They go back and forth about whether Y encourages women to, date multiple men, and it really reveals this fundamental difference in their worldviews.
Almost like they're speaking different languages, even though they're using those same religious terms.
It really goes to show how even within, a shared faith, interpretations can be like totally different. This back and forth boils down to a central question. Should a man prove himself worthy of a woman? Or should both parties be focused on, aligning with God's plan?
And to throw even more fuel on the fire, the hosts pop up a new poll, this time asking, should men date women with children? And 60%, a significant portion of the audience, votes yes, yes.
Wow. This response likely reflects a growing acceptance of blended families, a shift away from those like traditional stigmas around single moms.
Yeah, it makes you wonder if societal views on family structures are changing faster than some of those, deeply held beliefs about gender roles. But
Yeah.
the real drama, I gotta say, unfolds in round 4 when they tackle the question of whether it's a red flag for a woman to be single after 35. This one hits close to home for, I'm sure, a lot of our listeners.
This is where things get real. Anton is firm.
Ugh.
Age doesn't dictate a woman's worth. He criticizes society for putting so much weight on those superficial, red flags. Instead, he says, focus on compatibility, shared values, the real stuff.
He's going for a more inclusive, nuanced approach to evaluating partners, right? But Y pushes back, challenging Anton's what he calls idealistic view.
Yeah, Dwight kind of paints this bleak picture of the dating landscape. Even brings up a previous debate where someone suggested, get this, single men over 40 are red flags. So it's like he's saying, hey, wake up, this is reality.
It's that classic battle, idealism versus practicality.
Yeah.
Compromise to find someone or hold out for the ideal, even if it means staying single. A lot of people wrestle with that.
And here's where it gets interesting. Despite these fiery disagreements, throughout the debate, Y expresses respect for Anton, acknowledging the value of their differing opinions. Even commends Anton for his respectful demeanor, which, after all that back and forth, is pretty remarkable.
It's a genuine moment of connection, in this whole debate that's been full of strong opinions and passionate arguments. Gives you hope that maybe we can disagree without being disagreeable.
Absolutely. And Anton, he returns that respect, recognizing the importance of having those conversations, even with folks who, hold different viewpoints. It's a reminder that we can all learn from each other, even when we don't see eye to eye.
It's easy to get caught up in the back and forth of a debate like this, but I think we have to remember that these aren't just abstract ideas, They're playing out in real people's lives, and that's why those audience participation segments are so important.
Yeah, it brings those lived experiences into the conversation. Reminds us that these issues have real-world consequences.
Right. Like we hear from this young man, Raymond. He eloquently disagrees with, Y's stance on women dating multiple men.
Right. Raymond argues that advice like that could lead to women being taken advantage of, especially by men who aren't interested in commitment. He brings up his own upbringing, his father providing for a blended family, suggesting that financial stability doesn't, equal good character.
A powerful counterpoint to Y's belief that a man's ability to provide is like the ultimate measure of his worthiness. And then we hear from a caller who chooses to remain anonymous. She voices her frustration with the stigma, surrounding single mothers.
She talks about the challenges of dating as a woman with children. Yeah. Pushing back against this idea that, they're somehow less valuable because they come as a package deal.
It really highlights those double standards single mothers face,
Okay.
often judged way harsher than single fathers.
Definitely highlights the need for more empathy and understanding towards single parents. They face those unique challenges, those societal pressures.
Then we have Keisha. She's a married woman, in her 40s. She declares Y the winner, praising his message of self-improvement and accountability. emphasizes the importance of both men and women, striving to be their best selves before entering relationships.
Right, makes you think about the role of personal growth and maturity as like the foundation of a healthy relationship. I'm over here taking notes.
And just when you think you've heard it all, we get this guy who identifies himself as slimy. He calls Anton the winner, praises Anton's what he calls business-minded approach to relationships.
He appreciates Anton's focus on, building wealth as a couple, suggests that Y's approach maybe focuses too much on the feminine aspects of relationships.
Yeah, definitely a more, I don't know, pragmatic view of relationships where money, shared goals, those are seen as crucial.
It just goes to show, the diversity of opinions, how different people prioritize different things based on, their values and their own experiences.
Now, before we wrap up this deep dive, I want to go back to a detail I mentioned earlier, the fact that Anton's wife was backstage during the whole debate.
It's small, but like speaks volumes
Uh,
about Anton's character, about the dynamic of their relationship.
right, shows a level of respect and support that aligns so well with, his message.
A powerful reminder that, actions speak louder than words. And genuine partnership is about showing up for each other, even when things get heated.
This debate, it's been a roller coaster ride through the ups and downs of modern relationships. We've heard those arguments for traditional values, progressive ideals. It's clear there's no easy answer.
What's fascinating is that despite their differences, right?
Yeah.
And Anton had a respectful, thought-provoking discussion. They challenged each other. They listened. They even found some common ground.
Yeah, it's a reminder that even in our, kind of polarized world, we can still have productive conversations about tough topics. So we've heard from Y and Anton, plus some, amazing insights from the audience. But what does this all mean for you listening? Where do you stand on all this?
Right. We've unpacked all these different viewpoints, but now it's like self-reflection time. What makes a relationship healthy and fulfilling for you? What are those, non-negotiables?
I think one of the most thought-provoking things was, Y's emphasis on the man providing materially versus Anton's focus on, like, spiritual alignment. Makes you wonder what really defines a quote-unquote high-value man or woman today.
Totally. Is it all about like money and success? Or is it more about, spiritual depth, emotional maturity, character, or
Yeah.
maybe it's all those things mixed together? And how do we go beyond like the superficial stuff and, figure out real compatibility?
It's so easy to get caught up in, like, those checklists, those external factors. But a lasting partnership, it's got to be about way more than that.
And remember, relationships, they're two-way street, right?
Yeah.
It's not just about finding that right person. It's about, becoming the right person yourself.
Totally. Both Y and Anton talked about how important personal growth is and, healing from past trauma, something we can all, benefit from, whether we're single, in a relationship, or, somewhere in between.
Absolutely. Taking responsibility for our own,
Yeah.
stuff, developing our character, strengthening that relationship with God. Those are all like crucial steps, becoming the best versions of ourselves. And when we do that, I think we're more likely to attract healthy and fulfilling relationships.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, we want to leave you with a final question to ponder, something that wasn't, explicitly addressed in the debate. What role does forgiveness play in all this, in navigating, the messiness of modern relationships?
Why, Anton, they talked a lot about accountability, right?
Yeah.
But what about the ability to forgive? Forgive ourselves, forgive our partners, for past mistakes. Especially, I think, mistakes that, led to unintended consequences, like, children born outside of marriage.
It's a tough one. Is forgiveness, like, weak, or is it about, love and grace? And how do we even create a culture of forgiveness, within ourselves and in our relationships?
Because, in the end, forgiveness is about creating space.
Mhm.
Space for understanding, for compassion, for that, deeper connection. And who knows, maybe that's the real key to figuring out this whole modern relationship thing.
This deep dive has given us, I think, all a lot to chew on, and I hope it's, sparked some conversations for you too. Remember, there's no one right way to do relationships. The important thing is staying true to your values, prioritizing your own growth, and, approaching your relationships with intention and an open heart. Until next time, keep diving deep.